G'day everyone. So in today's video, I wanted to answer a question from someone who left a lovely comment on one of my videos, and I wanted to answer that question to see if I might be able to help those people out. G'day everyone, I'm Zoe and this is Kahu. This is just a little reminder that I'm not a professional horse trainer, so anything you do see in my videos is only intended to be a guide. So with that said, let's get on with the video. So this question actually comes from someone by the name, with their username of HollyPeters5094. And their question to me was that they've just got a pony who's 12 years old. They're going to try the technique I use on Kahu in our walking at the shoulder video. And apparently her pony, she tries to bite when she doesn't get her way, and what they can do to help stop. Now, I promised that I would attempt to do a video to help this, so let's see what we can do. So the first thing you really need to do is find out first, okay, why is my horse biting? I would recommend from here to rule out anything physical, so have a vet or someone else who is qualified to rule out if there is any pain. Cora, my 23-year-old thoroughbred, when I got her, she had a lot of joint and muscle pain when I got her. So much so that all the muscle down her back was all sunken inward, making her look severely more underweight than she actually was. She had this much pain and tension in her body. So with some Bowen and acupuncture, this greatly helped Cora, and it has made her into a very sooky elderly mare. But that wasn't always the case. Cora used to try to bite. If I would even just rubbing my hand down her, just like this, just to brush her. She's like, no, she's turning her head, she's pinning her ears. She's like, no, please don't do that. That hurts, stop touching me. She was only communicating with me in a way that made sense to her to ask me to stop. Now this is because Cora had a very troubled past where people weren't hearing her, they weren't listening. She tried to say that, well, hey, I'm in pain. And her voice wasn't being heard, so her voice got louder, and this is when she started to bite, started to want to nip, and she actually even threatened to rear on me until I actually finally said, oh, okay, you're in pain. So that's the first thing I would rule out. The other issue is if you're not being a assertive leader with your horse. They can try things on. Kahu here is only a youngster, but even he was starting to try it on with me. He's like, oh, well, I wonder if I can get away with trying to nip, and he even started to want to rear on me, but this was only because of play with him. That's a very different story. Now, Holly asked me how I can help correct biting. Now, in the case with Kahu, most of the time when he did this, he was actually at liberty. He wasn't in a halter like he is now. And what I started doing is I just put my hand very gently on his nose, and then no more than like a poke or a prod, you know, like a tiny little tap like this, that I would just do on his lower pastern at the same time. Now, the only reason that I did just resting my hand on his nose here, and most importantly above this point, because down here they're very delicate, the bones are very fragile, so you want to do it a little bit higher up. The only reason I did this with him is a precaution so that he couldn't attempt to try to turn his head and nip when I was trying to correct him. Having a little tantrum because he's only a year old. I also did this because at the time he was apt to wanting to see it as play. And so he'd try a play rear on me. So I did this because if I can control his head and stop his head from being thrown, he can't bite me, and most importantly, he can't rear on me. He's a completely different horse in halter, but that's what I did with Kahu. So I'll show you a little bit more up close segments here of what I did. So again, the first thing that I did was even if he started to lunge to bite me, I would also do this method on him. Again, roughly where his noseband is on his halter, I would just rest my hand here, not press, just resting it there as a safety precaution, which is just my preference. So with my hand now on his nose, I would then just about kick back on his pastern there, and that's the best that I could do of mimicking another horse was to say, hey, no, that behaviour is not acceptable, without causing him any pain. This is just what worked for us, and I've heard some other people do some other methods as well that are equally as effective. Now, you probably picked up there also that I mentioned that Kahu has tried to play rear with me as well. And what I've done there to correct that, again, usually he's been at liberty, but I tried to preempt what he's going to do before he actually does it, which any person working with or around horses should be able to preempt what their horse are going to do moments before they do it, so they can be 1 to 2 steps ahead of them, a bit like a chess match. So whenever this would occur, where I could read that Kahu's body language was going to be a little bit more playful and wanting to bring out that rear a little bit, I would attempt to move myself off center to his shoulders, and then I would then ask him to yield those hindquarters round, because if he's moving his hindquarters round, then he can't rear. The same could be done if he was in halter, if he was to try that, but if he was in halter and he was trying to give me a bit of a play rear, then I would just simply ask him to step forward in his halter, because once again, if he's moving forward, he can't rear if he is moving. So I hope those tips were found helpful to some of you. If you have any questions, do drop them below. If you have any questions or whatever for another video that you'd like to see me cover, please drop your ideas below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, guys, Kahu and I will see you next time. Don't forget to like, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can stay up to date with what's going on in our world.